Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Alex, for this webinar. And I think so far with Aditya, now Aditya and me, we just see each other everywhere. So that's great to see you, Aditya, here. Your talk was great. And it's great to see that this webinar is focusing on the fashion side, the Web3. I think we have a great audience here. So I'll just go ahead and introduce myself. So I'm a fusion tech artist, working currently as a creative director with Meta Visionaries. I'm also the CEO of Oshi Brownie, which is the digital fashion brand. And we're working on a bunch of exciting projects that I'll go over today, and to also talk about the digital identity through those projects, right? Because one thing I think it's that is relevant for everyone who is here, especially in the fashion world, is that the idea of identity. And I think we're all, through interesting projects like what Aditya said, I think we're all trying to navigate what identity means today and tomorrow. And today, this is the topic that I want to really address and delve into through different techniques, through frontier technologies, through fusion art, and now with some interesting tools that we're having today with like Mid-Journey, a lot of different things that we're seeing around. It's popping everywhere, especially on LinkedIn. So I mean, these are the trends that we're having. So all of these things just make us question what the digital identity is. I'll share my screen and I'll take it from there. Exactly. Yeah. So I'll start off by introducing Oshi Brownie, which is a phygital brand. We've been doing a lot of physical work when it comes to the craft of the things. We've been working with a lot of films, styling for music videos, like doing the costumes in our studio, using glider technology, using a lot of 3D software, 3D modeling softwares, and so on, right? So I have an experience that is coming from the real actual craft of the things, the customization of things, and conceptual development when it comes to the wearable art designer. So what you're seeing here is actually some of the performative custom made costumes that I've done recently for a lot of commercial projects. And then I'll go right into the digital identity and self-expression. I think these are the two things which, again, it's going to make more and more sense as we go along. This is the mission when it comes to the future generation and the change makers that we're trying to address. So the things like the frontier technologies that I want to refer to is 3D printing. It's definitely the frontier tech when it comes to the software. It's definitely artificial intelligence and machine learning. Okay, so these are some of the things, and I'll quickly scroll through some of the works that we've done. These are some of the performative pieces, some process of the art making itself. I'll just go through them and then go over what identity means and how the semiotics, how the simulation, fabrication, all these techniques we can use. Anyone who is interested in the design thinking, anyone who's interested in taking up digital fashion as a career, because again, it's a $1 trillion industry, right? So there's a lot of careers in the future, obviously, on that side. So it's definitely good to know your area where you can specialize. I mean, it's a creative field, so it's always good to know the tools that are upcoming there. Okay. Some of the works that I've done, starting from the illustration, and some of the works that I've done from the side of the fusion art. This is a project that I did with Dr. Tara Rutley, and I actually like talking about this project because although this is not directly related to the fashion, but you see how the visualizations are working here, because this was done by utilizing the artificial intelligence with with the concept art created through pixel synth, and then the final works was used on the different renderings of the dresses. So I think this is a great example because the technology is in there. This was actually talking about JWST launch, and then this idea that you're seeing the rendering of the concept art is now being translated into the metaverse that Oshi Brown is actually working on, right? So this was like something we started off as a concept, but now it's being translated into a metaverse, because this metaverse is going to be about the storytelling itself. It's going to be about science fiction. It's going to be about conceptual art. And I think when we're talking about, again, the digital identity, the relevance of cultures, the relevance of storytelling, I think it's so important. It's so important to have the context right. And then once you have the concept and context, then you can build anything on top of it. whether it's a dress, whether it's a metaverse, whether those are NFTs. I think you can go through that. Another project which was actually done with support of Oshi Brownie and with support of British Council and Goethe, we did this project where emotion mapping was used. So this is an interesting technique when we talk about fusion of technologies when it comes to the digital identity creation. Because these robots that you see, I actually use the bots to showcase some of my designs, right? And how did I do that? I actually documented the real-time designs in my studio, and I took them in through the lighter technology in 3D softwares, and then I rendered on top of them. But these designs themselves, when I talk about the research, they were coming through the research of the Plochik, who is again a scientist who studied the emotion mapping for the first time. So he gave these emotions, these colors, and through these colors, he talked about what these energies and colors look like. I think this is quite an interesting perspective, although like today that has a different meaning, because when we add a happy hashtag or sad hashtag on Instagram, we get different results. So we see like even today people express themselves using social media, using their images, but that expression has changed because today they do it through avatars, they do it through PFPs, they do it through a digital twin, okay? And these are just some of the examples. And virtual influences are becoming more and more common. That's why this project, which I did 2 years back, actually, this was about that. And each one of the robots that you see, what they're wearing was done through recycling of the actual material that I found in the kitchen, that I found in my house, that I found on the road. And then I turned them into pieces of art for each of the design. Like this was the happy board, this was the trust board, this was shock board. And what was happening was that these were the artworks, and then people could see themselves through Zoom. And based on their reaction, based on their mood, the AI could tell it that whether they are 50% sad today or 20% happy, right? And that's so interesting because suddenly the AI is being integrated in the Zoom camera, and that was integrated with the art that I did. So in a way, you're linking the emotion mapping, you're linking the AI with the art, and that's what Oshi Brownie is about, right? It's about digital art, but like we're just taking it to that level where other technologies of today, like other technologies like emotion mapping, data collection, and AI ML can be integrated with this research. Because with the AR, with the VR apps that we have today, like no one is talking about the facial recognition. Like if your face is being recognized, what is it saying? And whether we can use it with the fashion, because fashion is all about self-expression. So if we use that algorithm in a certain way, if we run it in a certain way, that is helping us in some way to make those decisions when it comes to fashion. Because when we like to wear a certain color, that says something about us, right? So it's again about the colors, it's about the energies, what we're trying to express. So I think this research, which again is something that we're integrating with Oshi Brownie, is I think very relevant today, because I think we're all moving towards a time where AI, ML, Phygital art is becoming more and more real, right? So that's why I think this project Pluchik is something that I always refer back to, and it's so relevant today. Another thing that I would like to highlight is that when we're talking about the metaverse and fashion, so we have to think about different identities and different cultures that we want to represent. Some of the initial renderings that I did for the metaverse that we wanted to do, I was thinking about the culture's representation. Like here, I was looking at the truck art of Pakistan. And here I was looking at the culture of Turkey, right? But in a scenario where the space is the actual environment, right? So thinking about an alternate reality, I would say, because that's what the metaverse is about, and then integrating some fashion pieces, some wearable art that is inspired by these cultures, right? And you can see like this was done for some kind of campaign for India. This too, and then there are other identities, like this was done for third culture, and again you can see the third culture being integrated with the humanoids and these robotic forms, these almost cyborg like forms that I was getting inspired by. Again, these are some other renderings that shows that how the material from around you can be taken in through the LiDAR and the digital kind of like 3D manipulations and simulations into the softwares and then can be converted into forms of art that can be again 3D printed. So what I'm talking about here is taking the physical world into the digital and then digital back to the physical, right? So it's a two-way process, and it's such an interesting cycle because firstly, there was a wave of digital art. And then with the digital art, everyone started talking about the phygital. So we started seeing people doing like with artifact and stuff. People started doing AR related, VR related stuff. But no one is actually thinking about how can we utilize this two-way process to do something even more unique, right? Because fashion is all about uniqueness. Fashion is all about self-expression. And this is exactly what I did. I used some utensils in my kitchen, literally. This is what I did for these images. And then I did the 3D scanning. I took them in, created these masks, and suddenly when these women actually wore it, the Snapchat filter could not recognize their face. And this was the idea, that the rebellion was the idea, right? That AI is scrutinizing you, but it cannot scrutinize you anymore because of these armor-like forms, these masks. Again, this was done during the COVID, so that's also interesting because COVID was all about the masks and us using that as a medical equal, like everyone was using it. But at the same time, masks stand as a something to hide or to change your identity. I think that's the connotation. So I think, yeah, that's something very conceptual, but that was the baseline idea why I did it. And then obviously I did it in a way that it should look aesthetically pleasing. I mean, that's the kind of custom designs that I've been doing for people. And there is an NFT drop that we're actually doing with Oshi Brownie. With some of the people that we're bringing on board, we will be doing such custom pieces of works of art with women especially. So that's something that's on our radar that we're doing with our team. Moving forward, I would actually go to some of the process work to show you. Yeah, these are also some of the renderings of the Arab world that we did using AI. So the designs that you see were all again done through the 3D scanning. And then the backgrounds and the artwork itself was generated through AI. So again, the fashion comes in contact with technology, it comes in contact with 3D printing, and then it also comes in contact with emotion mapping, right? So these are like, it's a very complex kind of interdisciplinary link, but I think that's where the interesting process and interesting results like start to happen. Some of the initial sketches that I did, like this is how the process work looks like when I'm like ideating a project, when we're thinking about the designs, when we're kind of photographing them in the studio. These are the design, like this is how the material looks like when I'm photographing it, right? And then the final outcomes can look something like this in the right lighting. Some of the things are again taken from the physical world, some of them are created in the 3D like digital world. So these are the designs. And then obviously we're dropping some like really high detailed designs as well, which is again going to be physically available as well. So there's a project coming up with Oshi Brownie that we're doing. And in fact, this is something where we're expanding our company. So we're looking for people who can come on board for this thing especially. And we're also looking for some investors, we're looking for ambassadors. So again, with the digital fashion, this is something that, we're kind of expanding in this area. And let me actually show you what that looks like. Yeah, so we're working on the animation of the characters. Like, so it's all about the self-expression. It's all about how much you can express the story that you tell with your face while you're wearing the fashion items, right? So we're trying different ways to animate the avatars while they're wearing the dresses and creating NFTs out of it, right? So this is our website. These are some of the key features of the avatars and the designs itself. So again, the creative direction, what I'm doing, it's all done through AI ML integration. And that's where the avatars are unique because one, it's about the inclusivity, it's about different identities coming together. It's not just about, one person. In fact, the name Oshi Brownie originated through the understanding that, the strength of the brown, like if that makes sense. And then it means that we need to be more inclusive. We need to represent people who are not being represented. That's the entire idea of it. And these are some of the designs. You can see Middle Eastern representation, you can see Western representation, like some of the designs that we want to do with some designers. Again, like I said, these are the things which are happening. This is the drop that is coming soon, so we're minting it. And this is going to give you access to the metaverse that we're building and the app that we're building currently. it's in the process. So that is in the process. And then we also give these kind of services. So if you're interested in any kind of product that you saw, which is again the avatars, animations, anything to do with the NFTs, anything to do with the digital fashion, then these are some of the services that we're currently doing. This is our roadmap. You can check it on our website. Again, some of the key features are here. And yeah, this is it. Thank you so much.
Wow.
Thank you so much, Alex.